There comes a moment in every woman's life when she must decide, will I live according to the labels the world gives me? Will I rise to the level God already sees in me? You see, a high-value woman is not measured by her beauty, her bank account, or her social media followers. She is measured by her courage, her character, and her conviction. This kind of woman does not wait for permission to walk into her destiny. She does not shrink to fit into spaces that were never designed for her. She understands that her value was established before the foundations of the earth, and she refuses to negotiate her worth. But make no mistake, being a high-value woman is not for the faint of heart. It will cost you friends who were only comfortable with your old version. It will cost you opportunities that don't align with your principles. It will cost you the comfort of hiding in the shadows. A high-value woman takes bold steps, steps that require faith, steps that demand discipline, steps that shake the atmosphere around her. She is not moved by applause, and she is not broken by rejection. She knows that every no is clearing the path for a greater rise. If you want to walk as a high-value woman, you must dare to take these bold steps. Because when you do, doors you never knocked on will open, favor you didn't earn will find you, and strength you didn't know you had will rise in you. There is a point in life when you have to stop waiting for people to see your worth and start walking in the worth that God already placed inside of you. Fair enough, you cannot spend the rest of your days negotiating your identity with people who never took the time to discover their own. A high-value woman knows this truth deep in her bones. She was created intentionally, fearfully, and wonderfully, and no opinion, no criticism, no misunderstanding can take away the truth of who she is. To own your identity without apology means that you stop treating your uniqueness like a liability and start seeing it as your greatest asset. The way you speak, the way you think, the way you carry yourself, it's all part of a divine blueprint that the world didn't design, so the world doesn't get to define. Your identity is not up for public debate. It is not determined by popularity, by the crowd's approval, or by whether others jet. It is anchored in something eternal, something unshakable, something beyond human manipulation. We live in a culture that constantly tries to mold women into a single shallow image, one that changes every season depending on trends and public taste. One year they tell you to be bold, the next they tell you to be soft. One year they celebrate independence, the next they say you need to be more agreeable. If you chase the moving target of cultural approval, you will live exhausted, confused, and empty. When you own your identity without apology, you plant yourself in the solid ground of truth, and you refuse to be uprooted by shifting opinions. Owning your identity requires courage because not everyone will celebrate it. In fact, some people will feel threatened by it. Your confidence will expose their insecurity. Your clarity will challenge their confusion. Your peace will reveal their inner chaos. And rather than dealing with their own lack, some will try to diminish your light so they don't have to confront their own darkness. But this is where the high-value woman stands her ground. She doesn't dim herself to make others comfortable. She doesn't mute her voice to avoid offense. She doesn't dilute her convictions to fit into spaces that were never worthy of her presence in the first place. To own your identity is to stop apologizing for your calling. Stop explaining why you are gifted. Stop over-justifying why you dream big. Stop excusing the fact that your standards are high. If God planted vision inside you, it is because He trusted you to carry it. You don't need to convince the unprepared why you are walking in prepared places. You don't need to explain to those living in fear why you are moving in faith. The high-value woman knows that not everyone will understand her, but she does not allow misunderstanding to make her question her worth. When you own your identity, you begin to live from a place of internal security rather than external validation. That means you no longer need constant praise to feel valuable. You no longer crumble when faced with criticism. You recognize that both applause and attack are temporary. They are weather conditions. Here today, gone tomorrow. But your identity is the climate, unchanging, set by the Creator, not the crowd. Owning your identity without apology is also about embracing your story. Every chapter, even the ones you wish you could rewrite, Your past, all its mistakes, lessons, and victories, has shaped the woman you are today. The scars you carry are proof of battles you survived. Tears you've cried have watered the soil for your growth. The setbacks you endured became the very training ground for your strength. You cannot disown parts of your story and still expect to stand fully in your identity. Your testimony, with all its complexity, is part of the power you carry. The truth is, owning your identity will often require separation. Not everyone who started with you will stay with you. Some people were only assigned to the version of you that stayed silent, stayed small, stayed afraid. When you begin to walk in your true identity, those relationships may shift, and some will fall away altogether. This is not rejection, this is refinement. God will remove those who cannot handle your elevation because He knows their inability to honor your value could harm your destiny. And here's the thing, when you fully embrace your identity, you give other women permission to do the same. Your boldness becomes their blueprint. Courage becomes their confirmation. Your unapologetic walk becomes their invitation to stop hiding. This is why owning your identity is not selfish, it is necessary. The world doesn't need more copies, it needs originals. It doesn't need you to be a watered-down version of someone else. It needs you to be the fullest, purest expression of who you were designed to be. So stand tall, speak clearly, walk with authority. You have nothing to prove, but everything to live out. You don't need to apologize for the way God wired your mind, for the intensity of your passion, or for the depth of your faith. You don't need to shrink your standards to keep temporary company. You don't need to tone down your vision to fit into a room that can't see past its own limitations. When you own your identity without apology, you stop waiting to be chosen and start walking like you've already been appointed. You stop performing for acceptance and start operating from acceptance. You no longer live to earn love. You live because you are loved. You no longer bend to fit into the mold. You live to break the mold. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. Arrogance says, I am better than you. Alignment says, I am becoming exactly who I was meant to be. Arrogance is about superiority. Alignment is about authenticity. A high-value woman is not puffed up with pride. She is rooted in purpose. She knows that her worth does not come from comparison, but from connection to her Creator. So today, make a decision. Draw a line in the sand. Refuse to let another season pass where you hide in the shadows of someone else's opinion. Wear your crown in public. Walk in your authority. Let your confidence be as loud as your faith. And if someone tells you that you've changed, thank them. Because growth is the point. You are not here to blend in. You are here to stand out. You are not here to be invisible. You are here to be impactful. You are not here to live in apology. You are here to live in authenticity. So own your identity boldly, fully, unapologetically. Because when you do, you will not only walk in freedom, you will inspire others to step into theirs. There comes a point in every woman's journey where she must face the hard truth. Everything you start with was meant to stay with you. Some people, habits, opportunities, even mindsets were necessary for a season. They served a purpose then, but they have no place in where God is taking you now. To walk in your full value, you must learn the sacred art of release. You must learn when to say, this chapter is closed. You must know when to walk away. Walking away is not weakness. Walking away is wisdom. Weakness cleanses because it fears lack. Wisdom releases because it trusts abundance. When you walk away from what no longer serves your purpose, you are telling your soul, I believe there is more for me, even if I can't see it yet. You are declaring that your destiny is too important to be weighed down by things that no longer align with where you are going. The challenge is that most people don't walk away because of fear, fear of being alone, fear of the unknown, fear of losing the familiar. Here is the truth. Holding on to what God is trying to remove is a form of self-sabotage. It's like keeping a plant in a pot that's too small. It will never grow to its full potential because its roots are trapped. In the same way, your life cannot expand if you are still rooted in environments, relationships, and patterns that cannot sustain your next level. When you walk away from something, it doesn't mean that thing was evil. It may have been good for a time. It may have helped you grow, shaped your thinking, given you an opportunity to learn. But not everything that was once good for you will always be good for you. Purpose is seasonal. People who are aligned with your mission 5 years ago may not have the capacity to run with you today. The places that once inspired you may now limit you. The dreams you once chased may no longer match the woman you've become. One of the biggest traps in life is the comfort of familiarity. We cling to what we know because it feels safe, even when it's suffocating us. But God did not design you for a life of suffocation. He designed you for expansion. Walking away from what no longer serves your purpose is about creating room for better relationships, greater opportunities, deeper fulfillment, and clearer vision. You cannot receive the new if your hands are full of the old. And let's be real, walking away often comes with pain. It means endings. It means saying goodbye to people you love, to routines that have become part of your identity, to versions of yourself you've outgrown. It means grieving the loss of what was while trusting the promise of what will be. But this pain is not destruction, it is transformation. Just as a caterpillar must leave the comfort of its cocoon to become a butterfly, you must leave behind the comfort of the familiar to step into the fullness of your calling. One of the most dangerous lies you can believe is that your value is tied to your ability to hold everything together. That's not true. Your value is tied to your ability to discern what is worth holding and what is worth releasing. A high-value woman doesn't keep pouring into something that no longer produces fruit. She doesn't keep fighting for a seat at a table where her presence is tolerated but her voice is silenced. She doesn't keep chasing what drains her spirit. She recognizes when the season is over and she leaves with her dignity intact. Walking away is not about bitterness, it's about boundaries. It's about protecting the peace you fought to find. It's about honoring the woman you've become. It's about refusing to invest your energy into places where it's wasted instead of multiplied. And when you choose to walk away, you are not just closing a door, you are turning your face toward the open doors that have been waiting for you to notice them. Sometimes God will make certain situations uncomfortable, not to punish you, but to push you. The irritation you feel, the restlessness that stirs in your spirit, the lack of joy in what once excited you. Those are signs. They are heaven's way of saying, it's time to move. And the longer you ignore those signs, more stagnant you will become. Growth is impossible without change, and change is impossible without letting go. There is also power in walking away early before something completely drains you. Too many people wait until they are burned out, broken, bitter before they decide to leave. But a wise woman pays attention to the early warning signs. She doesn't wait until the well is dry before she stops drawing water. She doesn't stay in a place where her presence is being exploited and her value overlooked. She leaves with her strength still intact, knowing she is preserving her energy for what truly matters. And here is a truth that will set you free. You do not owe everyone an explanation for why you are walking away. Some people will not understand because they are not meant to understand. Some will think you are being selfish, when in reality you are being strategic. Some will accuse you of changing, and you can confidently agree, because change is the goal. You don't need their permission to move forward. You just need the courage to obey the call on your life. Walking away from what no longer serves your purpose is also a declaration of trust. Trust that God knows how to fill the empty spaces you leave behind. Trust that what you release will be replaced with something greater. Trust that He is not leading you away from good just to give you worse. When you walk away in obedience, you are never walking toward less, you are walking toward more, even if it doesn't look like it right away. Your purpose is too precious to be buried under distractions, drama, and dead weight. Every time you choose to hold on to something that's not serving you, you are delaying the arrival of what will. Every time you cling to the wrong thing, you rob yourself of the right thing. The high-value woman understands this, which is why she doesn't hesitate to step away from tables where her soul is starving. This is your moment to evaluate what in your life is no longer feeding you. Which relationships, commitments, or habits are costing you more than they're giving you? What mindsets have you been holding on to that are keeping you small? Once you identify them, you must have the courage to walk away, not later, not when the timing is right, but now. Because every step you take away from what's holding you back is a step toward the life you were born to live. When you walk away from what no longer serves your purpose, you are not losing. You are making space. You are clearing the clutter from your soul. You are preparing for a new season, new assignments, new blessings, and new connections. You are sending a signal to the world, to heaven, and to yourself that you will no longer settle for less than what aligns with your destiny. And that, my sister, is the kind of bold step that separates a high-value woman from the crowd. If you are going to be a high-value woman, you must make a decision that will set you apart from the majority. You will refuse to remain the same. You will choose growth, not occasionally when it's convenient, but relentlessly. Because nothing about your purpose is casual. Nothing about your calling is part-time. Your assignment on this earth is too significant to be treated like a side project. Investing in your growth means making a lifelong commitment to becoming the woman God created you to be. It means refusing to plateau, refusing to coast, refusing to live off the momentum of who you used to be. It means waking up every day with the awareness that you have more to learn, more to sharpen, more to expand, more to become. Growth doesn't happen accidentally. It's intentional. You cannot drift into greatness. You cannot stumble into excellence. You cannot wish your way into wisdom. Every bit of growth you see in a person's life is the result of deliberate choices, consistent discipline, and a willingness to stretch beyond comfort. A high-value woman understands this truth and embraces it without excuse. When you invest in your growth, you are acknowledging that you are your greatest asset. Before you invest in houses, cars, jewelry, or fashion, you invest in the one thing that will outlast them all: yourself. Material things can be taken, but the skills you develop, the wisdom you gain, the discipline you master, and the character you build, those are yours forever. This relentless investment often requires sacrifice. It may mean waking up earlier to study, read, pray, or strategize when everyone else is sleeping. It may mean spending money on courses, mentors, or experiences instead of temporary pleasures. It may mean saying no to distractions, meaningless conversations, and unproductive environments. It means you refuse to settle for entertainment when education is calling your name. Relentless growth demands that you surround yourself with environments that challenge you. You cannot grow in a room where you are the sharpest, the wisest, the most motivated. You must be willing to step into spaces where you feel stretched, where you are the student, where you are forced to think differently, act differently, and see differently. This is not about insecurity, it's about hunger. You cannot be full of potential and empty of action. Here's something many people overlook: growth is not always glamorous. In fact, sometimes it feels like work no one notices. The hours spent reading when no one is watching, the prayers whispered when no one is listening, the choices made when no one is applauding. That's where transformation happens. By the time others see the fruit, the roots have been growing for years underground. That's why the high-value woman doesn't need instant recognition. She knows her preparation will speak for itself in due time. Investing in your growth also means addressing your weaknesses without shame. Too many people avoid growth because it forces them to face areas where they are not yet strong. Pretending the weakness isn't there doesn't make it go away. It just delays your progress. The woman who grows relentlessly is willing to ask hard questions. Where am I lacking? What habits are holding me back? What skills do I need to sharpen? What mindsets need to be renewed? She doesn't run from these answers. She runs toward the work required to change them. Your growth will also require protection. It's not enough to start. You must guard the progress you've made. That means being careful about who has access to your mind, your emotions, and your time. You cannot pour into your spirit with wisdom in the morning and then let gossip, drama, or negativity drain it by evening. Protecting your growth is just as important as initiating it. One of the keys to relentless growth is consistency. Growth is not about massive leaps every once in a while. It's about steady, faithful steps every single day. reading a little more, learning a little more, refining a little more, stretching a little more. You may not see the difference immediately, but over time, those small daily investments compound into transformation so significant that you barely recognize the woman you used to be. This investment is also about self-awareness. You cannot grow if you don't know yourself. What energizes you? What drains you? Environments help you flourish. What patterns keep you stuck? The more you understand yourself, the better you can direct your growth. Self-awareness is not self-obsession. It's stewardship. The high-value woman doesn't just hope for change. She manages her life like it's her most valuable enterprise, because it is. Growth will sometimes require you to unlearn before you can learn. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs you will ever experience will come not from gaining something new, but from letting go of something old. Old mindsets, dated habits, limiting beliefs, or cultural conditioning that does not align with your purpose. You cannot put new wine in old wineskins, and you cannot step into your future carrying the weight of a past identity. There will be seasons where growth feels like loss. You may have to step away from certain friendships because your conversations no longer feed your vision. You may have to decline opportunities that look good but would keep you stuck. You may have to close doors you once prayed would open because they no longer lead to where you are going. But here's the truth. Anything you lose while chasing your growth will be replaced with something better. Something that matches the woman you are becoming, not just the woman you were. Relentless growth is a declaration that you refuse to live life on autopilot. You are not here just to exist. You are here to expand. You are not here to simply repeat last year over and over. You are here to evolve. You will not spend your days running in circles when God has called you to run your race. A woman who invests in her growth relentlessly is dangerous to mediocrity. She cannot be easily manipulated because she knows her value. She cannot be easily intimidated because she has prepared herself. She cannot be easily distracted because she has trained her focus. She becomes a living example of what is possible when someone refuses to settle for less than their potential. So ask yourself, what would your life look like if you treated your growth like your most important assignment? What if you took every skill you have and refined it until it became excellence? What if you treated every day as an opportunity to sharpen your mind, strengthen your spirit, and expand your capacity? The results would be undeniable, not just in your life, but in the lives of those around you. Growth is contagious. When people see you continually elevating, they are inspired to elevate too. Your commitment becomes their challenge. Your progress becomes their proof. This is why relentless growth is not selfish. It is service. The more you grow, the more you can give, the more you can lead, the more you can impact. So make the decision today. Decide that your future will not be left to chance. Decide that you will not be the same woman next year that you are today. Decide that every day you breathe will be a day you build. Decide that you will invest in your growth relentlessly because the world needs the highest, fullest, most powerful version of you. And she doesn't just appear, she is built one intentional step at a time. Peace is not just the absence of noise, it is the presence of wholeness. It is the atmosphere where your spirit can breathe, your mind can think clearly, and your heart can stay steady. It is not a luxury for the high-value woman. It is a necessity. Without peace, even the greatest blessings feel heavy. Without peace, clearest vision becomes clouded. Without peace, your energy leaks into places that do not deserve it. That is why a high-value woman learns to protect her peace like treasure. Treasure is guarded because it is rare and valuable. You do not leave gold on the sidewalk for strangers to pick through. You don't leave a diamond unattended in a public square. And in the same way, you cannot leave your peace unprotected for anyone to snatch, step on, or scatter. Your peace is the currency that sustains your mental, emotional, spiritual well-being. Without it, everything else in your life begins to lose its value. Protecting your peace begins with recognizing what disrupts it. You cannot guard what you refuse to identify. For some, it's toxic relationships that thrive on drama. For others, it's overcommitment, saying yes to everything until you are stretched so thin that you lose yourself. For some, it's the constant scroll of social media, feeding comparison, anxiety, and false urgency. And for others, it's the unhealed wounds from the past that keep replaying in their minds. Whatever it is for you, the first step is awareness. You cannot fight an enemy you keep inviting into your home. When you truly understand your value, you stop giving unlimited access to your inner world. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table, and not every voice deserves to echo in your spirit. You must be intentional about who you let in, what you listen to, and where you spend your energy. This doesn't mean you live in isolation. It means you live with boundaries. Boundaries are not walls to keep love out. They are gates to keep chaos from moving in. Protecting your peace often means making unpopular choices. You may have to decline invitations that others expect you to accept. You may have to limit conversations that used to drain hours of your time. You may have to step back from certain friendships, jobs, environments that leave you mentally and emotionally bankrupt. And yes, some people will take it personally, not because you've done wrong, but because they benefited from your lack of boundaries. One of the biggest peace stealers is the need to control everything. A high-value woman understands that she cannot protect her peace if she is clinging to situations she cannot change. There is a difference between influence and control. You can influence outcomes through wisdom and effort, but you cannot control people's choices, circumstances, or timing. The more you try to control the uncontrollable, the more you exhaust yourself. Protecting your peace means releasing what is not yours to carry and trusting that God knows how to handle what you can't. Another enemy of peace is comparison. You cannot live in joy while constantly measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel. When you compare, you either end up feeling superior, which breeds pride, or inferior, which breeds insecurity. Neither supports your peace. The high-value woman focuses on her own lane, her own growth, her own timeline. She understands that peace comes from alignment with her own purpose, not competition with someone else's. Protecting your peace also means managing your inner dialogue. The loudest voice you will ever hear is the one inside your own mind. If that voice is constantly critical, fearful, or doubtful, your peace will be under constant attack, even when life is going well. You must train your mind to dwell on truth, hope, and possibility. This is not denial of reality. It is refusal to live in mental torment. A high-value woman feeds her mind with words that build, not break, thoughts that lift, not lower. There will be moments when your peace will be tested. Unexpected storms will come. People will misunderstand you. Doors you wanted will close. And in those moments, you will have to make a choice. Will you allow the storm outside to create a storm inside? Or will you hold your peace and ride through it with grace? Protecting your peace doesn't mean pretending the storm doesn't exist. It means refusing to let it enter your soul. Sometimes the greatest act of protecting your peace is learning to say no and meaning it. No to conversations that spiral into gossip. No to obligations that leave you resentful. No to opportunities that pay well but cost your sanity. No to trying to be everything for everyone. Every no you give to what drains you is a yes to what sustains you. It is also important to schedule peace on purpose. Don't wait until you're burned out to rest. Don't wait until you're overwhelmed to pray. Don't wait until you're exhausted to recharge. Build rhythms of restoration into your life. Time for stillness, for reflection, for activities that feed your soul. The high-value woman doesn't apologize for her need to rest. She understands that rest is what fuels her strength. Here's the truth. When you start protecting your peace, you will notice a shift. Your decisions will become clearer. Your creativity will flow more easily. Your relationships will be healthier. Your ability to hear God's direction will sharpen, because peace is the fertile soil where every good thing grows. You can have the right vision, the right talent, the right opportunities, but if you are constantly in turmoil, nothing will thrive. Protecting your peace is not selfish, it's stewardship. You cannot pour into your assignments, your relationships, or your dreams from an empty and chaotic place. When you guard your peace, you are actually protecting your ability to serve, to love, and to lead well. The truth is, not everyone will understand your commitment to peace. Some will call you distant, some will call you difficult, some will say you've changed, and you have. Because the woman who protects her peace has decided that she would rather be misunderstood than mentally and spiritually drained. So guard it. Guard it from the noise of unnecessary battles. Guard it from the chaos of other people's emergencies. Guard it from the poison of negativity and cynicism. Guard it from the temptation to be everywhere and everything at once. Guard it like your future depends on it, because it does. If you ever feel guilty for protecting your peace, remember this: even Jesus often withdrew from the crowd to rest, to pray, to recharge. If the Son of God needed moments of quiet to sustain his mission, so do you. A high-value woman understands this deeply. Peace is not something you stumble upon by accident. It is cultivated, defended, and treasured. You can lose money and make it again. You can lose a job and find another. But once you lose your peace, it can take years to restore. So protect it like gold, guard it like diamonds, defend it like a fortress. Because when you protect your peace, you protect your clarity. When you protect your clarity, you protect your purpose. And when you protect your purpose, you protect your destiny. And nothing, absolutely nothing, is worth more than that. There is a power that rests in your voice, a power that can create or destroy, heal or harm, lift up or tear down. The high-value woman knows how to use that power well. She understands that her words are not just sound, they are seeds, and once released, they take root in the hearts and minds of those who hear them. That's why she chooses to speak with both authority and grace. Authority without grace can be harsh, cutting down instead of building up. Grace without authority can be weak, leaving truth unspoken and letting lies go unchecked. But when you carry both, you become unstoppable. Authority gives your words weight, grace gives them reach. Authority commands attention, grace earns trust. Authority establishes boundaries, grace opens hearts. To speak with authority means you know who you are and where your words are coming from. You are not just repeating what you heard from someone else. You are speaking from a place of conviction, experience, and clarity. You have done the work to know your values, your principles, your purpose. That's why your words carry confidence without arrogance. People listen when you speak because they can sense you are not wavering, not guessing, not hoping. You are certain. But authority is not about volume. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to overtalk to be understood. True authority comes from alignment with truth, not from the decibels of your voice. When a high-value woman speaks, she does not have to beg people to listen. Her presence, her preparation, and her posture command the room before she says a word. Grace is what ensures that your authority doesn't crush people in the process. Grace remembers the goal is not to win arguments, but to win hearts. Grace is the wisdom to know when to push and when to pause, when to speak and when to listen. Grace allows your words to land in a way that others can receive them, not just hear them. You can be right in what you say and wrong in how you say it. The high-value woman refuses to let her delivery destroy her message. Speaking with authority and grace requires self-control. Not every battle deserves your voice. Not every provocation deserves a response. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. The woman who speaks with both strength and compassion chooses her words with intention, not impulse. She knows that silence can sometimes speak louder than 1,000 explanations. This balance also requires emotional intelligence. Authority without emotional awareness becomes domination. Grace without emotional awareness becomes enabling. But when you are tuned into the atmosphere, the needs of the moment, and the heart of the person in front of you, you know how to deliver truth in a way that is both firm and kind. One of the greatest misconceptions about speaking with authority is that you have to be aggressive to be taken seriously. That's not true. Aggression forces people into defense. Authority invites them into understanding. When your words are rooted in wisdom, they can pierce without wounding, correct without condemning, and challenge without shaming. To speak with authority and grace also means you are unafraid to address uncomfortable truths. You are not passive when wrong is happening. You don't sit quietly when injustice is unfolding. You don't shrink back from difficult conversations because you fear rejection, But you also don't swing your words like a hammer just to prove a point. Instead, you speak in a way that invites change, not just confrontation. The high-value woman understands that her voice is a tool for impact. She uses it to encourage those who are weary, to challenge those who are complacent, and to affirm those who are uncertain. She does not use her voice to gossip, belittle, or stir chaos because she understands that every word she speaks builds her reputation and shapes her influence. There will be times when speaking with authority and grace will cost you. Some will misinterpret your firmness as pride. Some will see your gentleness as weakness. Some will prefer you to stay silent because your voice disrupts their comfort. You cannot let their discomfort dictate your delivery. The truth spoken with love will always outlast lies spoken with charm. When you speak with authority, you give people clarity. When you speak with grace, you give them dignity. Together, they create transformation. People may forget the details of your words. They will never forget how your words made them feel empowered, respected, and seen. Developing this balance requires intentional practice. It means reading, learning, and growing so your words are informed, not just emotional. It means spending time in reflection and prayer so your words are guided, not reckless. It means learning from past conversations where you spoke too soon or stayed silent too long. You also learn to match your words to your assignment. Sometimes your role is to comfort, so your grace will lead. Sometimes your role is to correct, so your authority will take the forefront. Sometimes you must inspire, so both will work together to ignite something in the listener. A high-value woman also speaks with authority and grace over herself. She refuses to let her inner dialogue be full of self-criticism, fear, and doubt. She understands that the words she speaks to herself set the tone for how she shows up in the world. If her voice is strong for others but destructive to herself, she will live in internal conflict. So she speaks life over herself with the same conviction and compassion she offers to others. Your voice is a legacy tool. Long after the moment passes, your words can continue working, shaping decisions, influencing actions, and planting seeds for years to come. That's why you must treat your words like investments. Every time you speak, you are sowing something, either seeds of peace or seeds of chaos, seeds of faith or seeds of fear. Choose wisely. In every season, the high-value woman understands that her authority is not man-made, it is God-given. Her grace is not manufactured, it is spirit-led. Her words are not just her own. They are shaped by the wisdom she has gathered, the experiences she has survived, and the calling she carries. So speak with the authority of a woman who knows she has something worth saying. Speak with the grace of a woman who knows that the goal is not to dominate, but to elevate. Speak with the awareness that your voice is an instrument of influence. The way you use it will echo long after you are done speaking. Because when you speak with authority and grace, you not only command the room, you change it. You shift the atmosphere. You plant truth. You build bridges. You set boundaries. You breathe life. And you leave people not just impressed by your words, but impacted by your presence. There is something incredibly powerful about a woman who refuses to be paralyzed by uncertainty. The truth is, no one ever sees the full picture when they start out. Life does not come with a map that outlines every turn, every obstacle, and every victory. Yet, high-value woman understands that the absence of clarity does not mean the absence of purpose. She knows that just because she cannot see the end does not mean there isn't one already written in her favor. She believes that even when her steps feel shaky, there is a divine hand steadying her. Moving in faith is not about ignoring reality. It's about anchoring your heart to a greater reality, the truth that there is a plan for your life that exceeds human understanding. It's about deciding that fear will not hold the pen that writes your story. It's about choosing action when your flesh tells you to freeze. You don't wait for every question to be answered. You learn to trust the one who holds the answers. You move forward with the quiet confidence that your steps are ordered even when the road beneath your feet feels like it's still being built. This kind of faith demands courage because the human mind loves control. We love knowing exactly how things will turn out before we begin. We want the guarantee before we take the risk. But faith is not a contract where you get all the details up front. It's a covenant where you agree to walk with trust, believing that the one who called you will also carry you. The high-value woman has learned to live in this tension between the visible and the invisible, between what she knows and what she hopes for. When the path is unclear, the temptation to delay action is strong. You might tell yourself you're waiting for the right time, but deep down, you're avoiding the discomfort of not having it all figured out. That is where many dreams die, not in failure, but in hesitation. The high-value woman refuses to live in that limbo. She understands that waiting for perfect clarity is often just a disguise for fear. Instead, she steps forward even if the first step is small, even if the ground feels unsteady. Faith-led movement has a ripple effect. Each step you take builds resilience. Each act of courage strengthens your confidence in the one who is guiding you. And soon, you find that the unknown is not as terrifying as it once seemed. You learn that you can survive uncertainty. You learn that the road will rise to meet you. And you realize that many of the doors you were waiting for were never going to open until you approached them. There will be times when others won't understand your decisions because they cannot see what you see. You will have to walk alone at times, carrying only your vision and your conviction. That's the cost of faith. Sometimes you will step forward without applause, without a crowd cheering you on. The high-value woman has learned to be her own encourager, to remind herself of the promises spoken over her life, to keep walking even when the voices around her grow silent. Faith is not the absence of doubt, it's the decision to keep moving despite it. It's waking up in the morning, not knowing how the day will unfold, but choosing to put one foot in front of the other because you believe that purpose is waiting for you. And when the storms come, because you hold on to the truth that even the winds and the waves must obey the one who guides your ship. Here's the beauty of moving in faith. When the path is unclear, you often discover that the journey itself shapes you more than the destination ever could. Every unexpected turn teaches you flexibility. Every delay teaches you patience. Every closed door teaches you discernment. Every step taken in trust expands your capacity for the next step. You become stronger, wiser, and more unshakable. A high-value woman does not see uncertainty as a threat. She sees it as an invitation to trust more deeply, to depend more fully, to believe more boldly. She doesn't need the whole plan to start. She just needs the conviction to begin. She understands that God reveals the road in segments, not because he wants to frustrate her, because he wants to protect her from the weight of seeing it all at once. When you live like this, you stop needing to explain yourself to everyone. You stop looking for validation from those who haven't walked where you're walking. You stop craving certainty before you act. Instead, you develop an unshakable trust in the process, knowing that every step you take in faith is a seed planted in your future. So even when the path is hidden in shadows, she moves. Even when the details are missing, she advances. Even when the voices of fear try to drown out the whispers of hope, she keeps going. Because the high-value woman knows that the greatest miracles often happen in the middle of uncertainty. She has learned that you don't have to see the whole staircase to climb it. You don't have to know the full blueprint to build it. You don't have to have all the answers to begin the journey. What you need is faith. Faith that the one who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. And so she walks forward, eyes lifted, heart steady, spirit ready, even when the path is unclear, because she knows that the road she's walking is not leading her to ruin, but to destiny. And when she finally arrives, she will look back and realize that the path, though uncertain, was always sure.